Hello and welcome back. I'm Joseph Hoffman, and in this lesson we're going to learn how to play the right-hand part of the B section of Andante by Johann Christian Bach. Let's start today by analyzing the score. Today let's analyze some more chords. So once again, let's kind of ignore what the left hand is doing. I'd like you to really focus on these triads that the right hand is playing, and we're going to analyze each triad. Let's try this first one together. So, can you tell me the letter name for this first note in measure 9 that the right hand plays? If you said B, you're correct. So we've got this treble B, which goes to a D sharp, which goes to an F sharp, and it comes back down to D. And remember, a sharp lasts a full measure up until the bar line. So if you see a D sharp there, this D is also sharp, and then back to B. So once again, we're just doing a broken chord up and down. But we'll think of this all as one chord. Do you recognize that chord? If you said B major, you're correct. So in your music at home, I'd like you to write a capital B over measure 9. That will remind us that we're playing a B major chord right there. Okay, let's do one more together. What pitch are we starting on in this measure for the right hand? If you said an E, you're correct. So we have an E, skips up to G, skips up to B, and then back down. So what chord do you see there? If you said E minor, you're correct. So let's go ahead and write capital E, lowercase m. Now, I'd like you to go through and analyze all the rest of these chords in the entire B section. And to do that, let's quickly review how to tell if it's a major chord or minor or diminished. So thinking about C major, notice how between these first two notes, if we go up by half steps, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps to get from the root to the third. Then if we go up 1, 2, 3 more, we get to the fifth. Or another way to think about that is you have 3 half steps in between or 2 half steps in between. Now for a minor chord, that flips. Like let's take this C minor chord. Here you can see you have 2 half steps in between or 3 half steps in between on top. Now for diminished, it's 2 and 2 in between. Another way is to simply hear the difference. Major has a certain sound different from minor, which has a different sound from diminished. So now let's try this out. If I showed you this chord, what kind of chord is this? E minor is correct because we have 2 on the bottom in between and 3 up here in between. Okay, it's the distance of 1, 2, 3 half steps here and then 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps there. So E minor. Okay, try this one. Can you tell me the name of this chord? If you said D sharp diminished, you're correct. Or E flat diminished. The way you can tell it's diminished is we have 2 half steps in between and 2 half steps in between there. That will always make a diminished chord. Okay, what about this one? What kind of chord do you see here? If you said F sharp major or G flat major, you're correct. We've got 3 half steps in between there and then 2 half steps in between there. 3 on the bottom, 2 on top makes for a major chord. Now, pause the video, and I recommend you do this in pencil, just in case you get something wrong, which is always okay. That's how we learn. Press pause, figure out all these chords, and then press play, and I'll show you the correct answer. Okay, here are the answers. Why don't you check yours in your music? We've got an A major, D minor, G major, C major, F major, B diminished, E major, A minor, B diminished, A minor, G sharp diminished, and then A minor. Now I know you're anxious to go play this on the piano, but we need to find one little pattern that's going to really help us learn this. If you just glance at this, it almost looks like the chords are changing pretty randomly. B, E, A, D, G, C, F, B. It's almost like there's no pattern. But let's look really closely because there is a pattern to this. Why don't we look at every other chord? What do you notice if we just look at B, A, G, F, E. Are you seeing a pattern here? Each of these chords is stepping down. If we look at every other one, B steps down to A, steps down to G, steps down to F, steps down to E. Then the pattern changes. But let's just focus on this part. Now what about here? E, D, C, B. What do you notice about that? Same thing, right? Every chord is going down one step. So we kind of have this alternating pattern of chords going down by steps. Now notice this pattern too. We start on B and then we go up a fourth and then down a fifth, which lands us one note lower than we just started. And then the pattern repeats. Up a fourth, down a fifth, which brings us one step lower. Up a fourth, down a fifth, brings us one step lower. Up a fourth, down a fifth, up a fourth, and then the pattern changes. Up a second, down a second, down a second, up a second. So watch out for the pattern to change. But now, keeping that pattern in mind, let's come to the piano to try playing it. For the B section, let's once again learn this first using blocked chords. That will save us some time and teach your fingers to find those positions quickly. So in measure 9, try playing a B major chord with me. Go ahead and try this out. B major. Good. We've got B, D sharp, F sharp. Good. Then move up to an E minor chord. Remember, we're moving up a fourth. So B major to E minor. And try and keep track of where you were just a second ago on that B, because remember, now this pattern repeats down a step. We come down to A, and then we go up a fourth again to D. Try that again. A major, up a fourth to D. Okay, now let's go all the way back and try that pattern again. B major, and keep track of where that B is, up a fourth to E. Then we're going to go down a step, A major to D minor. Okay, then we go down a step again. Try to keep track of where you were just before. Now we're coming down to G major to C, up a fourth again. Remember where you were on G, you're going down a step to F, and then up a fourth to B. Then we're going down another step to E major, and then up a fourth to A minor. And then the next chord, the pattern breaks by going up a step. So let's actually stop there. Now, on your own, I'd like you to press pause and practice going through this chord progression. Remember, it's always up a fourth, down a fifth, up a fourth, down a fifth, up a fourth, down a fifth. So it ends up moving you down one step at a time, thinking of the pattern in groups of 2. So press pause and work on measures 9 through 18 on your own, then press play to go on. Good, so we just ended up on this A minor chord, and then what happens? We step up to this B diminished, we step back down to A minor, then we come to this G sharp diminished, and once again, you can choose the fingering that feels best to you, whether you use 1-3-5 or 2-3-5. You'd probably use the same one you used up in the A section, and then you end on an A. Okay, so let's try this together. Start at measure 18, play A minor, you step up to B diminished, step back to A minor, come to G sharp diminished, and then you play A, and then the left hand finishes the piece. Now, once you feel really confident with those chords in block position, and you can do it really comfortably and smoothly, then what you can do, what I encourage you to do, is practice them as broken chords like this. The left hand's going to be playing a note, which we'll add in a later lesson, but for now, just name the chord out loud in place of the left hand part. So you're going to go B, E, A, D, G, C, F, B, E, A, B, A, G sharp, A. So you're saying the name of the chord on the downbeat, on beat 1. That will take the place of the left hand part, and then your right hand can practice those broken chords. Okay? Also, let's pay attention to the dynamics. Notice we start at a mezzo forte, crescendo, so we're quite loud here. And then it starts to come down a little more, come down a little more. Then it's going to build a little more to forte. And then we conclude, bringing it back down to mezzo piano. Great work learning the right-hand part of the B section of Andante. Happy practicing, and see you next time.
My name is Chef, and I'm here to say I can build chords anytime, any day. Whether you need major or minor or diminished, I'll show you how they are done before I'm finished. Building chords, building chords, building chords, building chords. For a C major chord, you need a root that's C. Then move up 4 half steps and you land on E. Go up 3 half steps more to determine the 5th. You can see you're on a G. Now remember this. Building chords. Try me some E major. Building chords. Well, how about B flat major? Building chords. Now give me F sharp major. Building chords. For minor, flip it round. We don't need to stop. Just 3 half steps on the bottom and then 4 on top. For diminished, it's real easy. Just need 3 and 3. And I'm talking about half of, yo, listen to me. Building chords. Let's do C sharp minor. Building chords. Why not A flat diminished? Building chords. I'm gonna build some chords. Building chords. Yeah, build some chords. Yeah. Chord out.